everybody, it's EdTech Chat and Chew, episode number 57, and we are going to be talking specifically to those secondary teachers today on how you can be a little bit more successful in global learning. But before we get going, I'm Diane Smokorowski from Kansas, and then from Pennsylvania we have Mike.
Hi everyone.
From Texas we have Karen.
Hello.
And from up the road is Micah.
Hey guys.
All right, friends. So, I get this asked of me quite often is, I'm a secondary teacher. How can I do Skype in the classroom experiences? Because I've got several sections of the same class. I can't have the guest speaker do all day to work with me. I said, great question, but there are ways around that. So today what we're going to do is kind of do a little round table sharing tips just for secondary teachers. Before we do that, though, Mike, how are we doing on the Valentines?
Wow, this virtual Valentine's project has absolutely exploded. I think the most classrooms we've ever had signed up for a project is like 130, 150, somewhere there, and we have blown past the 200 classroom mark, and registration is still open until Friday. I know we had some requests for like classrooms that were studying Spanish that wanted to connect with Spanish-speaking classrooms or French, and we've had people jump in really from all over the world. So we're hoping to be able to make those connections, but if you have native Spanish speakers or native French speakers or other languages, definitely we want you in so we can connect you with people that are learning to speak that language.
Most definitely, and we'd love to see some friends from down under join in. We don't have any schools from Australia, New Zealand. We do have one from Indonesia. I should say we do have one from south of the equator, but we need some that direction. We definitely need South America to join us. So hey, if you connect in those spaces, we'd love to have you.
No doubt.
All right, so Mike, let's start with you. What is one of your tips for secondary teachers?
So I think let's piggyback off what we were just talking about with the virtual Valentine's project. If there are so many students out there learning foreign languages, one of the most obvious and incredible experiences that you can have through global collaboration is to connect them to native speakers. And it's so easy. If you use your network on Twitter or Facebook, reach out to people in countries where that language is natively spoken. It's easy to make those connections, and most of the time, places around the world, they're looking to learn English. So it's pretty easy to connect with teachers that are teaching English in other places, where maybe their students speak French, and you're teaching French to English speakers, and it's just an obvious connection to let them collaborate with each other over Skype and talk to each other. And along those lines, it's real important on social networking sites, Twitter, Facebook, to curate your network to make sure that you're bringing in teachers from around the world if you want to have those connections. The more diverse your network can be globally, the easier it is to either know someone or to know someone who knows someone, that you can connect to your students.
Beautiful. All right, Karen, what's a tip you have? I like the native language speaker piece.
Okay, so I want to share probably video messaging, because one thing that helped me, is trying to set up a couple Skypes in a row, right? And I can't get the same person to connect every 45 minutes. Is looking at something similar to like what Mike had posted with his 5-clue challenge, is that if I have someone on the opposite end that will record a video for me talking to my class, it still seems very personalized, and they can still record a video message and collaborate back. And that might be a little easier if you have an expert and they can only show up for one part of the day, or maybe it's a completely different time zone. It's just to record that message and communicate that way.
Genius idea. Best part about that one is if you have a split kind of environment, like you may teach one section first hour and then sixth hour, you can have that same expert work with both classes if you use the video messaging. So well done. High five, friend. Okay, Micah.
Yep, Micah frozen?
Maybe a little frozen. I'll pop in.
Okay.
One of the things that I think is a big tip to help secondary teachers is to create a Google document. It can be a Word document with a list of all of your classes and the time zones, or time slots, excuse me. Then put in a table. That would be column 1. Column 2 would be, how do I contact this person? And third column, when exactly are they available? Can they meet just as a fraction of that class period, or can they meet for the whole time? So I generally make a time the actual call starts so that I keep myself on schedule just a little bit, and it allows me to get students in the room and settled before it begins. But if I create a schedule of the Skype calls for a day, much easier to implement when it's go time. So that's mine. Micah, what's one of your tips?
So, sorry I had to drop out for just a second, technical difficulties, but one of my favorite things that I've seen Skype used for in the secondary area is that as a formative assessment. When I taught second grade, I had a high school science class, I'm sorry, I can't remember what exact science it was, call in, and their charge from their teacher was to create children's storybooks about an animal that they were studying and had researched and things like that. And so they read those stories that those students had written to my kids. And so I can only imagine the teacher on the other end of the call listening to her students as they're reading the story to say, okay, did they learn this? Did they learn this? Did they learn this? In a creative way.
Beautiful.
Brilliant.
Okay. All right, Mike, back to you.
Okay, so stepping away from video conferencing for a second to look for other ways that we can connect globally, because there's plenty of other ways to do it. One of the things that I've seen work extremely well in secondary classes is for students to share their learning through either blogging or on a class Twitter account or some other kind of social media. Shoot videos, put them on the blogs of what your kids have learned, or take pictures of what you're doing and let the kids describe what they've learned there. And then share that out globally so that they can get feedback from other places, from experts that are using that learning in the field, or from other classes in colleges that are studying that, or other high school classes. But it just allows that feedback to come from other sources other than just the teacher. And we know that in order for learning to occur, feedback is a very important factor. So if we can bring in multiple feedback sources for kids, through blog comments or through Twitter interaction, that's just going to lead to more learning than it would be otherwise.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Okay, Karen?
So I'm going to kind of continue on with what Mike was saying, but in more of a closed environment. If you use learning management systems like Edmodo or Schoology, you can connect your classrooms and they can collaborate. The teacher can post polls and questions. You can invite an expert in to talk with your students, and like I said, in more of a controlled environment, again, and keep your lesson inside of there. So I like those learning management systems because you can still pair a group together or two classrooms together, more than one, and do your learning that way. And it won't matter, again, where you are in the world, because you'll still be in the same space.
Great idea. Great idea. My next tip would be for you to come up with a script, a pitch script that you would like to use on websites to talk to people. For example, we're getting ready to do an entire Skype day with 8th grade PE students, and they want to talk to other schools that have actually implemented middle school recess. So we've been digging out on the web and a lot of things through Edutopia of other schools that have case studies with middle school recess. Well, now we're digging down to their websites and actually found emails to the teachers that are involved in those programs. We've written a script of what it is that we're looking for so that we can copy and paste it in an email so that everybody we talk to say, I don't have to recreate the wheel, I'm just ready to send them out to several and see who bites and wants to join in. Okay, Micah, your tip.
Okay, my next two are going to be about gamifying it a bit. Since we had mentioned that secondary each has their special content, make it unique to what you and your students are learning. One of the things you hear a lot about are mystery Skypes, mystery locations. Well, if I'm teaching science, I could do a biome instead of just a regular location. I could do a mystery book if I'm in a language arts class, or I could do like a mystery president if I'm in a social studies class. So tweak the mystery Skype location idea to your content.
Love it, love it. Okay, Mike, back to you.
Yeah. So, going along with what you were saying before, Diane, about creating a script head that you would send off to people, I think, anytime we teach content in school, it has a real-world application. Otherwise, there's really no point in us teaching it. I still wonder why we're teaching, state capitals. Never once have I needed to go to Helena for business. I just don't have to go to the capital for Montana. It's not relevant to me. But yet we still spend time teaching that content. But the content we are teaching should have some kind of real-world application. So find the people who are using that learning, that knowledge, for the real-world application, and get them to talk to your kids in some way. And Diane, I'm going to let you share your Twitter tip because that's really a beautiful way to do it. But even just search out organizations. For a while, when I taught 5th grade, we used to do a $1 million project where kids had to seek out charities to give their money to. And one of the pieces of that was they had to evaluate the charity to see that their money was going to the right place, right? It was a site called Charity Navigator. That's also a great site to go look for organizations that care about the same things that you do, or that are using the learning that your kids are doing in class for social good reasons around the world. So tap into those experts who are using the learning in the right way. Use the template that you created, using Diane's tip, and reach out to them and bring them into your classroom, whether it's through video messaging, through video calls, live calls through Skype or Google Hangout, whether it's email interactions with them. But show your kids the power of using the learning that they're doing in the classroom out in the real world to do good.
Most definitely. Okay, that was a great one. Karen.
All right, so the next one, maybe it's an easy one, but it's one of the ones that I love, is that if you go to places like Skype in the classroom and you want to post a specific lesson in which you want to communicate with someone, you can actually write up your idea and share it there. And of course, from Skype in the classroom, you can still share out on social media. And so you can be more specific towards what you actually want to accomplish in your classroom and who you're trying to find, who you're trying to reach out to. So I definitely recommend going into Skype in the classroom and creating and posting lessons there.
Beautiful. Okay. And it is a really great place when there's thousands of teachers around the world to connect with. Good choice. Good choice.
And I do searches all the time, and I find amazing things. I'm like, oh, let's see if somebody in here has a lesson for. There's a lot of stuff in there.
There's some great things in there. Okay, Micah.
Okay, so my last one that I have kind of combines formative assessment and the gaming. How many of you have played Kahoot? Yes? How many of you have you played Kahoot over Skype? Ah, okay. So what you could do in this case is you can partner up with another class in your specific content area and play Kahoot, because we know in Skype we have the share screen option. This will link your classes together to play Kahoot. If you want to up your game and make it more of a formative assessment, have your students design the game that they want to play against the other class. See what they know from that unit that you just taught and have them actually create the questions to play with the other students. And maybe the other class can do the same thing, and we mix them all together and make our own Kahoot game.
Beautiful.
Love it.
And it's so easy. And that one sparked my last thought, is to tap into your former students and see if they will come work with your students that you currently have. So Stacy Ryan, another Skype master teacher and one of our super friends, she teaches middle school mathematics. And she keeps in contact with many of her former students, as we all have contacts with former students. And one of them happens to work at Amazon. So she had that student dial in to talk about how that person uses math in their career. Well, she works in the algorithms of search, or when you show up into Amazon, it says, hey, we've seen you before. Maybe you'd like to check out these deals. She works in the mathematics that go along with that. She's also worked with one who's a rescue diver in the Coast Guard, former student. So tap into kids who you've had previously to inspire the next generation. They can join, and at least it's easy because they know you, and you can go from that point forward. Mike, anything else?
I love that tip because one of the advantages you have as a secondary teacher is that it's easier to keep in contact with former students. For those of us, for my third graders, if I don't see them again until after they graduate high school, they probably still remember me. They probably have some stories from my class, but that relationship just isn't there the way that a high school teacher has with their kids. And it was one of the things that I miss about coaching high school soccer. The girls that played for me for 10 years, you could see the impact when they went out into the real world and they graduated. For me as a fifth grade teacher for all those years, when I would see those kids, half the time I wouldn't recognize them because they had changed so much by the time they hit college or something like that. But that's a great advantage for high school teachers to have. I'm just going to add one more. I'm going to throw one more tip out there. Being someone that believes in using learning to do good in the world. It's so easy to create a website based on what you're doing. I like Weebly, but there's other website tools out there to build. So find how your students' learning can be used to make the world a better place, and have them design a website that allows people to interact with them. Whether it's a cause that they've set up, or for them to share their social awareness videos that they're creating, or whatever they happen to be doing. have them put a website together to share out that learning and get interaction with others around the world.
Beautiful. Karen, anything else? Are you good?
I'm good.
Micah?
I'm good.
She's good too. All right, well then it has to go to the next question. What was for lunch, Micah?
I had a buffalo chicken salad.
That sounds pretty tasty. That could be the today. All right, Karen, what was your lunch?
It's a mystery. I haven't decided yet. I've got to go run a couple errands for work, and I'll just find something along the way.
Okay, Mike?
And empty out the fridge salad. Whatever I could find to throw on top of the lettuce, that's what went on it.
And I had leftover Bobby Flay burgers. I'm going to have a small confession as I've been watching all of these Food Network shows on Netflix. It's starting to transition into the kitchen. So I have been trying to perfect Bobby Flay's perfect burger. And they were pretty good.
I think that gets the I'm a big fan of Bobby Flay, so.
And we just went just a little small one on the plate, no bread. So we're trying to be a little better, but we're having steak fajitas tonight. So yeah, that's where the real will come in. Nice. But until next time, my friends, that is it for EdTech Chat and Chew. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.